Thanksgiving dinner at the Preston estate was always an exercise in psychological warfare, but this year topped them all. I sat at the end of their mile-long dining table, watching my mother-in-law, Eleanor, dissect my life choices, while my husband nodded along like a well-trained puppet. "Really, Rebecca?" Eleanor sighed, cutting her organic turkey with surgical precision. "When will this coffee shop phase end? The Prestons have been investment bankers for 3 generations. If only she knew that while she was planning this dinner, I'd been in secret meetings with Starbucks executives, watching them fight over the rights to my revolutionary coffee brewing process." "The shop is doing well," I said quietly, thinking of the patent papers in my bag and the offer letter that would change everything. "Well?" My husband Andrew scoffed. "You work 16 hours a day in that tiny storefront while my colleagues' wives are on charity boards. Do you know how embarrassing it is to explain that my wife is a barista?" I could have told them that Bean and Gone, my tiny coffee shop, had just been valued at $100 million, that my unique cold brew process and customized roasting method had coffee giants in a bidding war, that the embarrassing storefront was about to become the blueprint for a global revolution in coffee. Instead, I took another sip of wine and let them continue. "And the smell." Eleanor wrinkled her nose. "Coffee roasting in our family neighborhood. The country club members have noticed, dear. Mrs. Vandermeer asked if we'd open some sort of factory." My sister-in-law Charlotte smirked. "At least she's not asking for money anymore. Remember when she wanted us to invest $20,000 for coffee beans? That $20,000 would have bought 2% of the company, now worth $2 million. But Charlotte had been too busy planning her newest failed boutique to see the potential. Actually, I started, but Andrew cut me off. "Speaking of investments," he announced, straightening his Hermes tie, "I have exciting news. The firm is making me head of our new beverage industry division. We're looking at acquiring some major coffee chains." Eleanor beamed. "Wonderful, darling. See, Rebecca? That's what real success in the coffee industry looks like." My phone buzzed silently in my lap. A message from Starbucks CEO. Board approved full amount. $100 million cash plus royalties. Lawyers ready. Adding $10 million signing bonus if we announce tomorrow. Your process is revolutionary. Tell them about the Starbucks deal, dear. Eleanor urged Andrew. Such an impressive presentation you've prepared. Andrew puffed up with importance. We're meeting their executive team next week. Going to show them how real business is done, not these artisanal coffee shop trends. I raised an eyebrow. Starbucks? Yes, Starbucks, he said condescendingly. Though I wouldn't expect you to understand corporate-level acquisitions. We're talking billions, not tip jar money. My phone buzzed again. A text from my lawyer. News embargo lifting in 3, 2, 1. Suddenly, everyone's phone started chiming with notifications. Andrew's face froze mid-lecture as he read the breaking news alert. Eleanor's crystal wine glass stopped halfway to her perfectly painted lips. The headline from Business Insider said it all. Starbucks to acquire revolutionary coffee process for $100 million. Small shop owner disrupts industry. Charlotte's fork clattered onto her $400 dinner plate. Rebecca, why is your picture in this article? I reached into my bag and pulled out the Starbucks contract, sliding it across Eleanor's prized mahogany table. Sometimes, karma is best served with a perfect crema. 100 million. Andrew choked on his wine as he read the contract. For a coffee recipe? Not just a recipe. I corrected him, finally letting my professional voice emerge. a revolutionary brewing process that reduces bitterness while maximizing caffeine content and flavor profiles, plus a proprietary roasting method that cuts production costs by 60%. Eleanor snatched the contract from Andrew's trembling hands. This must be some kind of mistake. You make coffee in a storefront. Actually, I pulled out my iPad. Let me show you what I really make. I projected my company's presentation onto the dining room's smart TV. The same presentation that had Starbucks executives fighting over term sheets last week. Our process has been independently tested by 3 major laboratories. I continued as charts and data filled the screen. The results show a 40% increase in customer satisfaction and a 200% increase in repeat business. We're not just selling coffee. We're revolutionizing how it's made. Charlotte's perfectly contoured face had lost all its color. But your little shop is a proof of concept I finished for her, a testing ground for what's about to become Starbucks' new global standard. Those tip jar profits Andrew mentioned? We grossed $3 million last year from a single location. Andrew frantically scrolled through news articles on his phone. This can't be happening. My presentation to Starbucks next week has been canceled, I said, pulling up another email. They're a bit busy with another acquisition. Though they did mention your firm's analysis of the coffee industry was, how did they put it? Refreshingly obsolete. Eleanor gripped her pearl necklace like a lifeline. But the smell, the country club, we'll have to get used to it, I smiled. Because part of my deal with Starbucks includes turning the old factory near your country club into our first innovation center. We'll be testing new roasting techniques there daily. The color drained from her face. Not the old Wilson building. But I've been trying to get that torn down for years. It ruins the neighborhood aesthetic. I know, I said sweetly. That's why I made sure to include it in the deal. Don't worry. We'll invite all the country club members to the grand opening. They can see firsthand where that factory smell comes from. My phone buzzed again. CNBC wanted an interview. The headline caught everyone's attention. Coffee shop to corporate empire. How one woman's innovation sparked a bidding war. Wait, Charlotte suddenly looked up from her phone. These articles mention seed funding. Where did you get the money to start this? Andrew's face went pale. The inheritance, he whispered. Your grandmother's inheritance that you insisted on wasting on the coffee shop. The same inheritance you tried to get me to invest in your firm's sure thing cryptocurrency fund. I asked innocently. How did that work out, by the way? Before he could answer, the dining room doors burst open. The butler announced in his most formal voice. Mr. Howard Schultz, CEO of Starbucks Corporation. Eleanor nearly fainted. Howard walked in, impeccably dressed, holding a familiar coffee cup. Rebecca, hope you don't mind me dropping by. I couldn't wait until tomorrow. Had to tell you in person. The board is thrilled. And this coffee, he took another sip, is going to change everything. Andrew stood up so quickly he knocked over his wine. Mr. Schultz, about next week's presentation. Ah, yes. Howard cut him off politely. We'll have to cancel that. But I hear HR is hiring. We'll need people to handle the paperwork for all the new baristas we're training in Rebecca's method. The next hour was delicious chaos. Howard and I discussed expansion plans right there at Eleanor's precious Thanksgiving table. Charlotte desperately tried to pitch her newest business idea, a coffee-themed boutique, of course. Andrew kept attempting to insert himself into the conversation, only to be politely ignored. But I wasn't finished yet. Before you go, Howard, I said, Pulling out one more document, I'd like to announce the first initiative of our new Coffee Innovation Foundation. Eleanor perked up, probably hoping for a country club tie-in. We're launching a scholarship program for underprivileged entrepreneurs, I continued. Specifically focused on small business owners who've been told their dreams are embarrassing to their families. The first recipient? The daughter of Eleanor's precious Mrs. Vandermeer, the one who wanted to open a food truck but was told it would embarrass the family name. The aftermath was spectacular. Andrew's firm's beverage division was dissolved after losing the Starbucks deal. Charlotte's boutique closed before it opened. Turns out, coffee-themed clothing doesn't sell well when you're not actually connected to the coffee industry. Eleanor? She had to endure watching her country club friends line up at my original tiny shop, bragging about how they always knew I would succeed. The Innovation Center opened last month. You can see it clearly from the country club's golf course. The gleaming steel and glass building with Bean and Gone Innovation Center. A Starbucks partnership in huge letters. The aroma of roasting coffee wafts over the ninth hole every morning at precisely 8 a.m. Last week, a young barista pitched me her idea for a new type of tea brewing process. Her family thinks she's wasting her business degree. I wrote her a check on the spot. The memo line read, "For those who dare to brew differently." Andrew filed for divorce shortly after the Starbucks deal closed. He's now working in his firm's satellite office in Alaska. Apparently, the coffee shop chains there haven't heard of my brewing process yet. As for me, I still work 16-hour days. But now it's overseeing a global coffee revolution, not serving lattes. Though sometimes, when I visit our original shop, I make a special drink. A complex, bitter brew that I named the Mother-in-Law. It's an acquired taste, just like success.